one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it because you can.
This story is brought to us from Cleveland.com. The suspect who wielded a hammer at a Hudson police officer before he was shot Thursday, which is a week and a half ago, is a well known criminal defense attorney who has struggled through a recent history of mental illness. Carlos Warner, who worked as an assistant federal public defender until 2020, is being treated in an area hospital and expected to recover, said his attorney, Michael Goldberg. Warner was walking shoeless that early Thursday morning on Ohio 91 and shouting at motorists before he aggressively confronted a police officer with a hammer, according to police. I've been inundated with calls of support from his colleagues in both the federal and state public defender's offices, said Michael Goldberg. He went on, everyone wishes him well. He's got a lot of support in the community. Hopefully the help is out there for him and he'll recover and get back to a productive life. Now, the shooting happened hours before a complaint was filed by the Ohio Disciplinary Council that detailed a string of issues in recent years, including hospital stays and court-ordered mental health treatment. It also outlined a disturbing trend of threats at Stephen Newman, the leader of the Federal Public Defender's Office. He said, I'm shocked to hear about this, and I hope for the best for Carlos, said Newman. Warner, who's 54, worked for the Federal Public Defender's Office from 2005 to 2020 and was regarded as a highly respected defense attorney. His law license became inactive in 2023. He took on many high profile cases, including defending police officers, drug dealers, and fraudsters. He represented detainees in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. His work on Mansfield drug investigation led to a Drug Enforcement Administration informant confessing to lying in the case. 15 people were later released from prison, and the DEA agent was charged and acquitted of perjury and obstruction charges. Acquitted. He was one of the best attorneys around, a great example of a fighter for rights of the accused, said Goldberg. Now, the complaint filed by the Disciplinary Council, an arm of the Ohio Supreme Court that investigates attorney misconduct, says that Warner was forced to resign from public defender's office in 2020 after he was accused of misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia. Newman waited to ask for Warner's resignation after learning Warner was getting inpatient mental health treatment, according to the complaint. Warner ultimately resigned after he was released from the hospital, says the complaint. Now, over the next several years, Warner repeatedly sent threatening messages to Newman, both directly through his former colleagues at the Public Defender's Office and in messages he posted on social media. Then Chief U.S. District Judge Patricia Galgan, in the fall of 2020, alerted Newman to a series of Warner's messages on Twitter referencing Newman. Another post showed a photo of a switchblade leaned up against a bottle of wine under the label 99 Crimes, according to the complaint. Newman contacted the U.S. Marshal Service, who monitored Warner's social media for about 6 months. The messages stopped for a time, but ramped up in June of 2022, said the complaint. One of the messages included a Twitter post in which Warner referred to himself as an eagle and Newman as a snake, and that the snake must be eliminated, says the complaint. Later, he sent a colleague a text with a photo of an eagle ripping apart and eating a snake that said in part, biggest mistake of his life allowing me to be free because I am literally going to eat him for lunch and then eat a few others. So tell him he's already gone and just doesn't know it. Another text the same day read, I'm not scared of him and never was, and now I'm looking to legally kill my prey. My. A subsequent text by Warner referenced sending protesters to the homes of Newman's family members leading Newman to contact Shaker Heights police and file for a protection order. Newman testified at a hearing that the text and messages caused him significant emotional distress and that his children were stressed, worried, and angry. The threats caused Newman to be unable to sleep and placed a photo of Warner on his children's refrigerator so they would know what he looked like. The complaint also includes quotes from a long, muddled Facebook post from Warner that seems to reference a Cleveland.com editor, though it's unclear what Warner is referencing. The complaint said Warner at the time had been involuntarily hospitalized in Pittsburgh for a mental health evaluation and that the hearing happened without Warner present. A judge granted the restraining order that runs through 2027. Shaker Heights prosecutors charged Warner in 2022 over the threats. Warner pleaded no contest to a fourth-degree misdemeanor charge of disorderly conduct and was sentenced to a $150 fine, 1 year probation, and ordered to continue all mental health treatments. The threatening messages to former colleagues and social media posts continued in October of 2023, says the complaint. And a Shaker Heights judge found him to be in violation of his probation and extended his probation until March of 2025. In 2023, Rocky River prosecutors charged Warner with repeatedly threatening an escort he met on the app Tryst, including sending the woman 172 text messages in an 80-minute span. He repeatedly threatened to kill someone he called the woman's boss. Quote, call the cops and report this, please, as a threat, because it is, one of the messages said. After his arrest, he was taken twice to hospitals for mental health treatment after threatening to take his own life. He also smashed an intercom at the Rocky River City Jail. He was later released from jail and the hospital and went to the woman's home and peered through the window, according to the complaint. Cuyahoga County prosecutors ultimately took over the case, and Warner pleaded guilty in July 2024 to 8 misdemeanor charges, including vandalism, telecommunications harassment, criminal damaging, menacing by stalking, and violating a protection order. He was sentenced to 2 years probation under the supervision of the department's mental health and developmental disabilities unit. And so now he's, of course, still, recovering after having allegedly drew a hammer on a cop on Ohio 91. Um, and I don't know. It's a former federal defense attorney. But did you hear some of the people that he has defended? He's defended police officers, drug dealers, and fraudsters, not frauditors, fraudsters. Um, So it's almost like he's a federal public defender, but he's defending both sides, cops and criminals. So maybe he doesn't have any type of what I want to say. He doesn't discriminate against who he's going to defend. I don't know. So is this like Malcolm X said, the roosters or the chickens, hens coming home to roost? Is that what he said? The hens coming home to roost? You let me know.